Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tom here. I'm with a special guest, Gavin. How's it going, bro?
Awesome, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, really good, man. Really good. I'm really excited, actually, guys, to have Gavin on. And like I said, Gavin's been a client of mine. He's done some stuff with my business partner, Joe McCall, as well in the US. And you're based in the US right now, Gavin,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah. In
is,
Phoenix, Arizona.
but you don't have the US accent.
No, no, not been here that long. About 4 or 5 years now.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Awesome.
but I spent all my most of my twenties in England. So
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. I know you were in San Fran before when you first started as a
yeah,
client,
yeah. When I
right?
started, I was in San Francisco. Yeah,
The
and
rent, the rents for a shed are like $9,000 a month, right?
yeah, yeah. It was
Crazy.
yeah, a little bit like London, but yeah, we were in a one bedroom. It was about 5,000 a month. Yeah, so it's crazy. And that's for a one bed, and that's
Awesome.
that's a cheap rent for there.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, like I said, guys, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring Gavin on, which I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy.
Oh, no
And
worries.
yeah, it's really cool. And obviously just sort of share your story as well, because it's inspirational when you see, a success story and someone actually crush it and do it, especially with, remote property flipping, sourcing, whatever you want to call it. And, it's inspirational, mate. And obviously, we've become good friends as well. I just want to sort of catch up and share your story. And for the people listening as well, watch this video because you're going to get inspired. And I'm sure Gavin would agree as well. It might inspire you to actually, jump into the journey. Or if you're thinking of giving up, it will definitely give you a kick up the arse because Gavin is motivational and sort of give you
Absolutely.
that push. But maybe Gavin, we just want to sort of start off. Like I said, like we were speaking before the interview, in terms of your journey, you shared a lot. But for the guys listening, maybe you want to share what you were doing before you actually got into, say, real estate and property investing for the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I was a golf professional, so that's what I did. From leaving school. So I used to play a little bit, mainly teach. Teach
Yeah.
golf for a living. When I came out to the US, I was still doing that. I used to travel. My wife is a travel nurse, so we moved quite a lot. And I would be on the golf scene. We'd follow the weather, so I could pick a job up pretty easily. But the problem was that obviously I've got family in England. Everyone's back home. And in America, if you take a full-time job, the vacation time or the holiday time's terrible. Year one, they'll give you 5 days, year two, 10 days. So I sort of looked at that and thought, well, if I do that, I'm never going to be able to get home. So I need a
Yeah.
business that's online. And that's kind of how it started to think, well, what could I do? I'm a golf pro, that's what I do. And,
So
and
you
I
were
can have
open.
time.
You were open for change, right? You were just like,
Oh,
what is that? What's
100%. I looked for a couple of years. I knew I
wow?
needed to do something different. It was always in my head, but what? I could never figure out what could I do online. And you start thinking websites, and I was like, no, not really that. And then it happened. I met a guy, one of your coaches actually, Ian,
Yeah.
in England. I was on vacation, and we were sitting next to each other. We got talking, and he told me what he did as a property investor, and he said, oh, maybe you should look into it. And he said, I just need a phone and a laptop. So I was like, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So you met him
So,
coincidentally in
oh,
a.
by an absolute chance. If I do not meet him, we do not sit next to each other, right, or be next to each other on tables. I'm not in this position.
Wow.
It was that. That's where it began. Let's be realistic.
That's
And then he
amazing.
told me what he did, and he'd been doing it for, I can't remember, a year or two. And then he said about you coaching, he's like, maybe you need to check him out. So then I think that's when I messaged you and I
Yeah.
said, and I probably, like everyone else, you start looking into it, and 3 months went by and I started to look in, what should I do? And
Is it a scam?
yeah, is it a scam? Oh yeah, 100%. Is it a scam? Like, am I just going to give money and then that's it? Like, am I going to get, you know what I mean? Is it? Yeah, and that's what I thought, 100%. And Ian was like, and I trusted. I didn't know him, but then after the months we'd like talked a couple of times, and I thought, I like Ian, like I trust him.
Yeah.
And so I got on the phone with you, and I said, well, here's the problem, Tom. I'm in America, and obviously you're in the UK. And to start with, we're like, well, we could still do it remotely in the UK. And I was like, yeah, we could do that for sure. And then you said, but I've got, Joe McCall in the US. Maybe we could do something where you work with both of us, so you could do both. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, let's do it. And obviously the money, I didn't have the money to start, so I went and found it. Went and found the money. I borrowed it off a good friend of mine. I just said, look, I've got a new opportunity. And I said, I know it's random, but this is what I want to do. And he was like, yeah, I mean, go for it.
And that's awesome.
So,
and that's what I think people will get from, this sort of short interview is what you've done is you've just sort of taken action. It reminds me of the interview I done yesterday, actually. The guy, he didn't know everything. Not everything had to be perfect, but he just took massive action and, small steps. It's like the quote, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and that's what you've done. And obviously when you share your sort of what you're doing now and how you've grown, and it's amazing, man. It's great. It's honestly great to see it. I think you're going to inspire a lot of people. So in terms of where you are now and what you're doing, I mean, or maybe we're back up a little bit as well. So I'm in Cafe Royale right now. You must hear screaming babies and coffees flying everywhere, but I guess it's real and raw. But this is not a bad place to do it, though. Let's be honest, it's not Starbucks.
Absolutely.
So in terms of, say, your first deal, because obviously I remember I was coaching you, you've done some UK stuff, but you wanted to focus more in the US. So maybe share about how you broke through and, the challenges you had and how long it sort of took you to do your first deal. And I know, obviously, it wasn't overnight, was it, for you?
No, absolutely not. When we came on, I didn't know anything about property. And just before that, you got to think that there's so many people out there surrounding me that thought I was crazy. I'm a golf professional going into property as an investor, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And people are saying, you're crazy. You've lost your mind. Like, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. We'll see what happens. And I didn't know if it was going to work either, but I thought, well, at least I've tried. So what I did was that when we started, like everyone, you start going through the training and you're trying to figure everything out. And I was working full time, and probably 4 weeks started. Then I thought, okay, I'm just going to send my first direct mail out. So I did. I spent $750 on direct mail in the US that came in, and obviously we were having talks alongside it. And I got a good response rate. I probably got about 40 calls, talking to them, coming off work, trying to do it, and it was a struggle. And I didn't get a deal straight away. And I thought, but I was close. There was follow up there. There's potential there. And so then I'm talking to you, and I'm like, well, I don't know. What am I going to do now?
What do I do? Yeah, I remember that.
And we were like, you just got to keep it going, keep it consistent. I'm like, yeah, I will. We've just got to. And it came then. I said to my wife, I just said, look, I need to. And she earns decent money as a nurse. Said, will you give me 6 months? Right, I'm going to quit my job. Just give me 6 months. If I can't make anything happen in 6 months, then it's game over. Whatever. At least I've given it a chance. So that's what I did. Didn't have any money, marketing money. And she said, well, I can give you some. And I said, no, I'm going to figure this out. So what I started to do is I went to the local meetup groups in the US, the investor meetup. We have several of them.
Yep.
So I went and I just pitched. I pitched to everyone. I'm from England. I think I'm good on the phone. I can close. I haven't got the funds to put marketing out there. But if anyone's willing to work with me, I think we can do deals together. And that's what I said.
And that's awesome, and that's innovative. Like I said, that reminds me of the guy I interviewed yesterday. He said the same thing. He found someone that had more experience in the strategy he was doing and found that up. I remember us chatting about that as well. It's like, I say, be creative, find other people that have the marketing and partner with them. And you talk to sellers, and that's what you did. So tell us about your first deal. How did that come about, and what was the profit on the deal? Maybe give some numbers and tell us what type of deal it was as well.
First deal, small. It was a small fee. Basically, from that meeting, there's a lady who just said, "Look, I've got 60 dead leads." So 60 leads that basically said they weren't interested. So she said, do you want to work them? And I'm like, yeah, I'll work them. So I started to call them the following week. Got this lady 3 months ago when they last spoke. It was a house in Phoenix. You'd call it a BMV. So we call it like a cash deal.
Yep.
Wholesale deal.
Yep.
And she had 3 months ago, she was going to put 15 grand in to do it up, put it on the market,
Yeah.
sell it for 135 like they all do. They've all got this, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I come along and call her at the right time. And she's like, well, I've still got stuff in it. I've done absolutely nothing. Now I've just missed my second payment. Yep. I need to get rid of this thing. Can you make me an offer? So I was like, yeah, I can make you an offer. So I went and made an offer of 80,000 to wholesale the deal at 85.
Yeah.
So she went, well, can we do, 82 and a half? And I was like, no, it was tight. We've got to do 80,000.
You stuck with the numbers?
Yeah, stuck with the number. Bear in mind, I've still not seen the property yet. And I never did see it. But the only thing that I did do wrong, and this was, being honest, is that I sent the buyer in. I trusted the buyer. I sent the buyer in to meet the seller.
Yeah.
To go and close the deal. The bit that I hadn't do, I told the buyer what I wanted him to buy it at. Okay, yeah. It was 85, and he said, "Yeah, let's go and do the inspection, then we'll do it." Well, the bit that I didn't do is that the seller then told the buyer that I'd agreed 82 and a half. Right?
Oh,
so he
God.
said, "Okay, not a problem." He knew what I was buying. He didn't mind what I was making.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Okay, well, let's do it." 82 and a half, then we were going to make 2.5 grand.
Yeah.
So she did us at 2,500 first deal.
Yeah.
Because they did the negotiation. I didn't have it locked up.
But you learn from that, right?
I learned. It's a big learning curve.
2.5 grand. I mean, 2.5 grand, 2.5 grand. So you didn't actually meet the seller. So when people say, because I learned from people listening, if they're new to myself as well, I learned from the US and brought, wholesaling, property sourcing, and doing it remotely to the UK. And everyone in the UK, it's new. I introduced this a couple of years old because when I introduced it. But people always say, can you really source properties and do it remotely? Well, what would you say to that when people say it's impossible, you have to meet the seller, you have to see the house, you have to get photos yourself? Can you do it?
Absolutely. It makes me laugh. I've got a good friend in Florida, super successful. They probably do 6 to 10 deals a month in Florida. And he goes and sees everything. I mean, he works like crazy, and we talk, and it's just funny because we're on boat. I don't see any properties. He sees them all, and he thinks it's amazing that I'm doing deals like from an airport. I'm doing deals from England. I'm doing deals from, I went to Georgia 3 weeks ago, closed a deal in Dallas. Never been to Dallas in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't see. I mean, I've probably walked in 3 properties since I've started. And that was only because they were close and I just wanted to go and see.
And the thing with property sourcing, isn't it? Sorry, I got excited. The thing about property sourcing, passionate as usual, but the thing about property sourcing is a lot of people go, I don't know that much about property. And you were saying you didn't know anything about property. When I started, I didn't know anything about property either. But you need to get the education about the basics, but it's more marketing and sales, isn't it? It's more generating leads and solving problems.
I still don't have a clue really about repairs. So my idea is, why go if I still don't know the repairs? I'm not a contractor.
Yeah.
And we do basic structures like, if it needs paint and carpet, $5 a square foot. If it needs a bit more, 10, 15. If it's a full rehab, depending on the location, $20. We go on. Yeah, keeping it simple. Needs a new roof. Okay. It's in Phoenix, probably 10K. So I don't really know, but here's the way I do it to take a property down is that and this is my personal opinion, that I let the seller tell me what repairs are needed. Yeah. Okay. And people go, well, they're going to lie. Of course they're going to lie, but I get the contract signed. If I've got the contract signed, I'm then in power. I'm in power because they've given me power based on what the information they've gave me. So when I do then send someone in to do the inspection, and I've said it needs 10K in repairs, and then my investor, or I send someone in to go and see it, a partner to go and see the house, and all of a sudden it needs 20, well, I've got it under contract. So I go, Mr. Seller, I know you said it only needed a paint and a carpet, but there's a hole in the roof, there's a hole in the wall, there's this, there's that. It needs 25,000. We've got to move the number for this to work.
Yeah. Because that's the great thing about this business, isn't it? With an option, is a lot of people think, especially new people, they go, "What if I can't sell the property?" And the good thing with an option, right? You can even renegotiate or walk away.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love
walking
about
away.
it.
And I don't like to back out of any contract, but I'm walking away constantly because of their mistake, not mine.
Yeah.
Because something they've mistold me, or maybe they didn't know.
Yeah.
But when we do the inspection, I can then really make my right numbers and go back in and renegotiate. And it's powerful because I say, look, I appreciate, and you probably wasn't aware that it does need a new roof. And you probably weren't to know that, but in that there's 10,000, and for this deal we need to move it 10. So I do my formula to get it based on their repairs, and then all I know then I need to do is I need to move the repairs maybe and move the price down, and that's it. And that's based on.
And that's what you're doing. You're just the thing. I think just for everyone listening, I think what they're taking is it's failing forward. It's keeping things simple as well. You know what I mean? I think it's like the old saying is that shoot first, aim later. People need to know everything about the contracts, the legals. What if this happens? What if that happens? Instead of just taking action. And I know, Gavin, obviously, we've met up a few times now and spoke, obviously, being coached yourself as well, is you just take massive action. You just do it. And if more people just done it, there would be so much more success stories, man. I mean, the amount of people, if they just consistently did it. So that sort of brings me on to, so obviously you've done your first deal, and then obviously you come to the Marbella event, the Flip Remotely event in Marbella, in that horrible mansion. Terrible, isn't it? Terrible. So that was a lot of fun. So maybe tell us a little bit about, from when you did your first deal, it was before that, wasn't it? But from May, say 2016, to where you are right now, how much you maybe forgot, but how much deals have you done, and what type of deals have you done? Like below market value deals, lease option deals. Maybe tell us about the volume of deals you've done, and maybe the biggest deal you've done, if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when I started, and then obviously did the first, and then I got another one out of them 60 leads, did another one from that batch. I then did another one with another guy from the same meeting from the first pitch.
And were these BMV? Were these below market value deals?
All below. Yeah. Didn't even go focus on lease options to start with, because I feel that you've just got to go take action with one, especially if you don't know it.
Yeah.
People try and start doing everything, and it gets crazy, start messing everything up. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, but you can't learn everything. There's tons of material out there. Just pick one, go with it, and make it happen. And that's what I did. So then the deal started to flow then, 1, 2 a month consistently. And then eventually I've always had I come from a coaching background, so I've always wanted to get into the coaching eventually. So, after a couple of years being in the business, that we started to look, and I went to Marbella and I met Joe. So I used to get coached with Joe as well. And here's the good thing, like, to be fair, Tom, where you really came in, even though I was in the US, that the mindset and the sales, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, your mindset, your ability to get someone going was where I use you more than anything, was to have a 5-minute conversation to come off to get me back on track and to put the belief back in, So many people going to tell you, no, and you're crazy. And sometimes as strong-minded and self-belief as I had, sometimes it does chip away a little.
Yeah. And I always say it's the mindset intertwined with a skill set. So the ability to get on the phone and then be able to handle objections, make offers, and go to the next one. Then you start to enjoy it. You start to love it. And grow and grow. So obviously you've been doing deals, tons of deals. So when did you start doing lease options, if you don't mind me asking? Because that's a strategy that you love, right?
Yeah, lease options are great. Lease options are good because, and here's the thing, where I am now, I've got systems in place where I work less and do more deals. And everyone coming into the business, and people pitch this 4-hour week, okay, which is doable.
Yeah.
But they come in with a mindset that that's going to happen. No, it isn't. You've got to work harder than ever to start with,
Yeah.
make money, put things into place, systems into place. Then you can start removing yourself. And
True.
then the more the business grows, the less you can do. That's pretty much it.
You have to take action on it, and that's for
100%.
sure.
You have to work like no other. 10
Yeah.
hours a day I used to do, calling people, getting no after no after no, sitting there and going again and going again. But there's two ways you look at it. I've just done 50 hours this week and not done a deal, not made any money, and I could look at that as a negative. Or I could look at it, I've done 50 hours, look how much I've learned in this week. So now next week's going to be better because now I've learned so much in that week. I'm taking it into week 2 and into week 3. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
It's just the attitude that you look at. So yeah, going from the last question, in Marbella, I met Joe, obviously, and we had a good chat, and then I started, I went on board with him and started to do sales mindset and accountability because I knew coming through the program, what did I need?
Yeah.
I needed mindset like everyone does. I needed someone to go to say, this is what I'm thinking. And you or Joe going, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Well, that was enough. And that's what all people need, sometimes. And
So
then obviously
true.
accountability. The accountability is where I focus heavily on is that are you actually doing it? Because if you're not doing it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So anyone listening to this, if you're not actually doing it, it's not going to work. I guarantee it. Because if you're not talking to sellers, you're not making offers, it isn't going to work. And if you're not willing to do it, it's not going to work.
So what Einstein said is doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result, is insanity, and people do that. And obviously, I speak to a lot of clients and I go, well, let me look how much sellers you spoke to. Have you adapted, tweaked, and, interacted, joined the webinars and so on? That's what you did. I remember speaking to always turning up, booking the calls in, saying, Tom, I'm doing it. And then things started to roll. And then you scale. So you've gone from, so the recap, so you've gone from, just, a very small period of time in grand scheme of things, from going, being a golf pro, then going into not knowing anything. You knew nothing about property, right? Before you started.
Nothing.
And then going to do, so you're doing on that. So where you are now, is it a couple of deals a month or more? Have you?
I mean, a couple, I could do more, but I try and do probably a couple of deals a month. Because I'm heavily involved in the coaching alongside obviously Joe McCall in the US, and we're getting great results off that as well. And that's just from my personal opinion, personal preference.
Yeah.
In terms of, I come from a coaching background, so I like to help people. I take it very personal to get success. So I'm honest, with the guys that we work with, and I know you was with me. Is that we're trying to get results, and we can show you how to get results, but you've got to do it. So anyone that comes on, we're not doing it for you. We're going to show you this is a sales and marketing job, like you said. Property is the concept. That's what it is, but it's sales and marketing. You send marketing out, you get leads, you close leads, you get deals, you make money.
So your sort of marketing strategies you've done as well, say over last year, has it been more? What have you done sort of? Because obviously I know you've been doing it in the US. Have you done more online, or has it just purely been like direct mail for you?
Yeah, I mean,
or co-deal sourcing, collaborations, right? You're saying before the interview, you're sort of doing a lot more. You have the buyer, right? Or how is that working right now? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the deal. If it's a below market value, as you guys would say, then we will often bring the buyer to the table. And then if we're doing a lease option, what I like to do is that we will split the deal, but and we only do this normally with students, that we'll take them through the process step by step. So we'll talk every day to get the thing done.
Sweet.
But I want them to learn them doing it rather than us doing it, us putting the ads up, us finding the tenant buyer, because they haven't learned anything. And we was doing that, but now we've gone into, okay, well, we want to make sure that coming from the first deal, and we can do it for the second time if they need, but they know how to do it. And that's the important thing. So, I mean, lease options are great because you're talking to better people, more. The situation is different. You know, you're not buying the house because they're struggling to make payments. Yeah. They probably bought at a bad time and they want to move, but they can't sell because they owe too much money. So, I mean, you're coming in with a strategy that helps them. You're helping them to buy it, so you're helping people more.
They're semi-motivated, aren't they? Lease options, they're more semi-motivated rather than B&V. They go repossessed or divorced. They're more distressed. It's a different
the
client.
Stress of the seller, and there's more. It's more of a sad story. Sometimes, if they're losing the home and they've got kids or whatever. The lease option's better because and people even that are doing rentals, it's all about the delivery. Yes, you can sell your house on the market and you can pay a realtor. And by the time you've done that, you're taking probably 15% less. Where if we're going to do a wholesale lease option and you're willing to wait, we're going to give you more than what you're asking at the end. You can have more than what it's worth at the end. And the 2 years, say that you rent it, you've just got two more years worth of equity in the property.
And hearing the story as well,
more,
hearing you say that, it just sort of reinforces it. I love it when I hear it, is how much like solutions to problems you can do. You can do B&V, then lease options. I know you're sort of, the strategy you're doing is with lease options with tenant buyers, right? You're currently doing. Is that how you're sort of working them or flipping them to investors, or what's the sort of exit plan for your lease option strategy?
We always go into a lease option that we're going to be staying in the middle of the deal. Because that's the way in the US that we have to do. Like, we are going to be the tenant. And to do that, and we do that, we'll stay in the middle, but it needs to cash flow, and it needs to have equity in the property on the back end. But we will manage everything. We'll look after all the repairs. We will do everything. So we do that. And then if that doesn't work, then we do another option where we can actually place, get a tenant buyer placed in there. And if you're in the US, people that are listening, we try and work with real estate agents that are licensed, just because it's more clean and it's done better.
And the great thing about this, Gavin, is saying obviously you're a UK guy living in the US, but the question comes in: can you do it from the US to the UK? And if 100%. You live in the UK, can you still do it in the US? From your own personal experience doing this and working with myself and obviously partnering with Joe as well, can you do that? Because I always get asked that, and people go, you can't be in the US, and Tom, and I said, I was doing 3, 4, 5 deals a month when I was in Cambodia, in the UK, and I'd done my first deal in the States. So when people say that, what would you say to them? If they're coming across this and they're new to, say, remote property flipping, and they go, no, surely this is hype, and maybe Gavin's got, he's got experience in it, or he's good at talking to sellers, I couldn't do it. Like, what would you say to them people?
Well, let me say this. It's all about the time difference, okay? If you're a sole person doing the business, right, you haven't got a team. Let's just go that it's just me. It was all about the time difference. If I was willing in England, when I was there in the summer, Phoenix is 8 hours difference. Okay, so for me to make it work, if I didn't have a team, I would have to start my day at 5 o'clock in the evening, and I'd sometimes have to work maybe till 2 in the morning. Sometimes, okay. And if you're willing to do that, then 100% nothing changes. Because if I'm not, just think about it. If I'm not seeing properties in the US, well, why does it matter if I'm in Jamaica, in the UK, or anywhere else? I'm still not seeing the property.
It's a location-independent business.
Yeah, all you need to do is be on the time zone. That's the only thing that I would say that you need to do. Now, if you've got a team in place, well, at that point, I mean, it doesn't matter.
And that's the thing with this business, and it's such a unique business with like real estate and property investing and sourcing, is, because I always get people go, is it true? It sounds overhyped that you don't have to use any credit, you don't have to use any money, you don't have to use an experience. But that was exactly you, right? That was exactly the story. That was you. You were coming into it new. You didn't have much of that. You had to borrow the money to the coaching and mentoring, obviously. And then you're in a position now where you're doing 2 deals a month, right?
Yeah. And it changes. Sometimes, it's what sometimes, and we know anyone that's in the business, a lot of it can stack up. I mean, sometimes you could do a deal, say, not a month or 2 months, and students do this, and then they'll complete 4 in month 3.
Yeah, that's you.
So,
said that.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter when you get going of when, because sometimes, like, in the US, title's not been cleared yet, there's a lien on the property, it pushes it back. should have closed. It's 2 weeks later. It's gone into so that happens all the time. But once you've then got established and you're doing it, then you're empowered to start marketing yourself. And then it's levels, it's scaling the business.
You were saying before, weren't you, when we were saying about money isn't a follow-up, at the sort of just purely yourself, is just purely follow-up.
Absolutely.
Follow-up.
I mean, in my opinion, if you're going to spend £500, $500 on direct mail, could you do a deal? Yes. The answer is yes, you could do a deal in month one.
Yeah.
Now, what percentage of that? I would say 90% of that, on average, in my opinion, is follow-up. Okay?
Yeah.
If you're going to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000,
Yeah.
will you do a deal? Absolutely, yes. Because of the quantity.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, exactly. So you've got to, then it's probably a 50-50. 50% you'll do straight off, 50% you'll have to do follow-up to get more deals. Does that make sense? So the percentage changes on the amount. But people come in and think they're going to spend $500, they're going to work 4 hours a week, they're going to kick back, be an investor, make tons of money.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the end goal, and that can happen, you know. But you've got to come in and you've got to apply yourself and make it happen. And if you're not willing to do that, you've got to get in the mindset that that's what you need to do.
And also a message you sent me on Facebook when I just checked in and said, how you going, you know, what you're doing. And I remember, I know you're sort of quite, you know, you don't like to show off or be conservative with numbers, but when you said, you know, your bet in December, I think, don't quote me on it, but it's $20,000, right? A mixture of accountability stuff and deal.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. In December.
Yeah, 20K. And now I'm trying to, in December.
At Christmas.
And we're going now.
That's amazing, man. Well done.
And bearing in mind, I got, as a golf pro, when I was going to take a full-time job.
That's amazing. When
I was umming and ahhing, they offered me 35,000 plus bonus to make 40K. So I said this was my goal, and I have short term, medium, long term, right? So the short term was, can I make 40K in a year doing property? If I can, it's been a lateral move, you know. And obviously year one I went way over, and then now it's levels. I need to be earning. I will earn 20K this month on average, and sometimes you get the big deals in the US, so you never know. You know, you might land the 60K deal, which that happens here. You know, that's the difference between the US as well. As I was telling you, our fees, it works out a little different in terms of when you package to an investor, you put your fee in there.
Yeah.
Okay. When we package in the US, there's the deal. It doesn't matter if I'm making 1,000 or 50,000. Does this package work for you? And if so, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so your fee is how good you are, or the motivation of how much you can get in the spread.
Yeah.
And we aim probably for 10,000, 5,000 a deal. But I split deals as well, don't forget. So very rarely I'll do a deal on my own from start to finish.
It's just purely collaboration, man. That's huge as well, and that's what I was.
Because of the time,
we teach our clients that as well a lot, and that's what I've been doing myself. A lot of people go, you know, in terms of the deals I do, and I was like, do I want to scale massive? You know, spend 20, 30, 40 grand a month for marketing. You know, do you have a huge sales in? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to rather do a small amount and collaborate in deal source, because I've, you know, people know me and they pass me deals and I collaborate and it's lower overhead. But obviously I didn't get there overnight. Do you know what I mean? It's like what you are as well, because you built relationships up. You can co-deal source or co-wholesale the houses and 50-50 the profit, and it's a sort of win-win. So people that are listening going, that are starting, that are maybe broke, or they're investors, or they want more freedom and so on, they're hearing obviously your story, you know, going from golf professional, living in the US, flying back to the UK, and obviously doing primarily deals in the States, and you're not meeting the sellers of you in the houses. That's what's the exciting thing about it. And to go from that to having, you know, a month of say $20,000, and then you want to make that that was your best month, right? Or is...
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, Tom. I mean, that was, you know, one of the better, but that is now going to be a consistency, okay? So you can have better months, but my outgoings are very little making that. Now, if I wanted to go to the next level and make 50, which all I've got to do now is put people in place, which I am, and just scale marketing, sit back, and I should make now 40, 50K.
So into what we were saying before the interview as well, so I want to sort of get this where you are now. So because there's people that are listening that, you know, have joined my coaching that are on the next level, that want to go to the next level. We're doing some deals, you know, 1 deal, 2 deals here and there a month, or, you know, I had a client just make 22 grand a month, 22 grand, sorry, from 1 deal. An assisted sale deal call it here in the UK. So what you're doing right now to scale it, I know you were saying you're hiring a team now and you're going to get a closer in place, right? How's that sort of looking for you right now?
So I'm going to have someone that's going to be on the phone. So for lease options in Phoenix, I'm going to have someone that's going to work the phone and take all the street and get the contracts get the deals under contract like I did, and then I've got someone on the other side, a business partner in Phoenix, who's going to bring the tenant buyers to the table. Sweet. But he's going to probably stay, depending on the deal. If we're staying in the middle, he's going to stay in the deal, make the monthly income and the back end, and then the guy who's on the phone with me, we're going to do a split on the front end, and then if we have to wholesale the lease option, we'll all be on the front end. But Sweet. I'm going to be doing less, obviously, in the deal, but because I'm going to be the marketing guy. So I'm going to be the guy pumping the leads in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we say 20K, people are like, oh, if you're doing 2 deals at 10K, you should be earning more if you're doing coaching as well. Well, yeah, but you can only go and you can only develop in a certain amount of speed that you can go.
And I think it's how you want your life to look at you as well, you know what I mean? It's a lifestyle business. For you now as well, like in terms of obviously where you are. Obviously you're working a lot of hours, you said, but I mean in terms of like your lifestyle, but how you feel as a person, would you regret? Obviously, I know the answer to the question, but I want to say it because would you regret, say, joining a coaching or stepping in to property, the journey of property, and especially deal sourcing and journey? How does it change your life, man? How's like everything? How do you feel compared to say 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's crazy, you know. It's and here's the thing: like we're scratching surfaces still. Like for potential, Like I mean, 20 is not enough. You know, it isn't. From where now, in my opinion, I can take it now. It was easier it was harder to get from nothing to making 5 to 6 grand a month.
Yeah.
It was harder now than taking 20 to 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of then you're in power, you have money to be able to produce things.
And you've got the mentality as well. You got the mentality.
100%. I mean, it should be 10% at the minute I'm running at. 10% of earnings from where I want to get to. You know what I mean?
And you will get there.
And then it's levels. 100%. I generally believe it, you know. And it's not, people say, oh, I don't talk about, you know, what I earn it just can be done if you apply yourself. Yeah. And I have partners, like I said, and I partner with students, and it's having the outgoings. Like I said, I'm not. Well, how much am I spending? Am I spending 5K to bring in 20? No, I'm not. And should I be? Yes. Am I behind on that? Yes. I should have people in place, but I'm working on that. We're busy doing other things, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm in no rush. Awesome. You know what I mean? I will scale it to where I can deliver and make sure that I'm in control. Because if I go and start spending 5 grand and I can't get to the calls, well,
I think that's the key thing you said when you're scaling is making sure you've got the key components in place, you've got the key systems and the right people. And that's what I think is for people looking to get into coaching and stuff like that or become a client is you need to know and learn from people that have scaled, that have trained teams, that have been, you know, that know how to train the team and get the best out of the sales guys. And I also think you're doing as well is you'll get the sales guy in place to obviously replace you. You're just a marketing guy pumping in leads. And then you've got an agent that will do all the legwork, showing around the properties, getting the tenant buyers, right? Man, that's scaled business. That is the remote business. That's the model.
Yeah, exactly. And all I need to do then is start to, when we're ready, we can then start scaling and keep everyone in line. to, right, well, do we need more leads? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go, here's tons of leads, and then we've got all these properties, and we can't take them down, and then it gets all crazy, and then everyone gets stressed out, and all the rest of it. We'll just, we'll take it, and that's just my opinion. And don't get me wrong, if I wanted to take it, could I just go all in? Yeah. But with then what I'm doing coaching wise, and we've just got things that we're changing there and building a couple of systems. I just don't see there's need yet.
So I remember, it's so interesting. It's amazing to sort of see now. I remember you said, when you were doing deals, I remember you were saying, obviously, you were a golf coach before, and you said you went. We were talking about like a golf product. I remember we were I was geeking out talking about like online products and stuff. like that. And you said you went to the coaching. And I said you can. I said do deals, and then it will come. And like you doing that now. How does how does it feel? And also, like, moving on from that as well, is if say there's some people listening now and they're on the fence or they're about to say quit, and they have tried it, say for 3-6 months or even 12 months, they're about to quit. What would you say to them people about how your life has changed as well? Because they look at you and maybe it would give them inspiration to not quit or take the leap like you did. And I guess you were shit scared at first, right, to take the leap? I was when I started.
I've always been, I've always been someone that I believe in business. I've been in the golf industry. You're surrounded by wealthy people.
Yeah.
Okay. In some instances, multimillionaires. I've caddied for billionaires, and you see it, and you have to take risks to get there. No one's just you didn't just start a job. There's not many people that have made millions unless you're a CEO of a huge company. But people that have set companies up have had to take a risk, and they're probably risking everything every month to get to the level, So, but I think you've just got to analyze your business, and the accountability is key, because if you don't know where you're going wrong, then you can't change it.
Yeah.
It's very important that. It's very important, and that's what we really are good at, is that we analyze everything and say, if you're saying to me I'm talking to 5 people a day, making 5 offers a day, 25 offers a week, 100 offers a month, and you're saying I can't do a deal, then I'm saying, well, we've got an issue. We've got issues somewhere. And what is that? Are you offering too much, too little? Are you going after the wrong property? Are you marketing to the wrong list? What is it? And we can figure it out. But for the 90% of people, they're doing the right list. They're marketing in the right location. They've got the thing in place that pulls it into Podio. They've got the calls coming in.
Yeah.
And the bit that they lack is talking to people, making offers, and following up.
For sure, that's it.
Is where the money's at. And that's where the money's. It is, So, and I'm all for, if you don't do it and you're not good at it, go and get someone who is.
Yeah, that's the key thing, isn't it?
I could
delegate.
I've just got 2 students that have got investors, like I did, paying for marketing for them, right? So that's one instance. Go and find a sales guy that's in the business, if you want, that's doing deals.
Yeah.
And say, how busy are you? Oh, I'm pretty busy. Could you handle more leads? Yeah, well, what about this? I'm going to send marketing out. You take the calls. You take the deal down. We'll both find the buyer and we'll split 50-50. How does that sound? And as long as it is that simple.
There's always solutions.
Time,
that's the thing.
You're
saying there's solutions, and that's it, man. That's the thing. If anyone listens to this, if you just take a few things, is wherever you are, there's solution. But get into, look at Gavin. He come on. Remember, he reached out to me. He come on as a client, and then he had a goal of crushing it in this business, and then also doing some coaching as well. He's collaborating with Joe McCall in the US that has a real estate investing mastery podcast, and they're crushing it there as well. But you're living life on your own terms, right? Would you want to do anything else than what you're doing right now? If you could think about it, are you like?
Absolutely not. No, honestly, I wouldn't, because I can do whatever I want. If I need to go to England tomorrow, I can go to England. And Joe's awesome. Joe's great, and we work good together. You know, I mean, he's good, and we talk regularly. You know, we're on top of everything, and it's just good. You know,
Yeah.
we're doing an event with him in February. We've already done one that went really good. So yeah, everything's moving in the right direction. But I didn't get given it. You know, like people say, how do you work with Joe McCall? How does Joe teach thousands and thousands of people? And how are you working with him? Because I created the opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you think Joe McCall called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come and work with me?" Of course he didn't. You know,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's creating the opportunity and getting in the right place and saying, "This is what I can deliver." You know, what do you think? You know, let's go, let's do it.
Awesome. So from you randomly meeting that Irish guy Ian, and for everyone listening as well,
Oh,
Ian was one of
absolutely,
my
and to
clients.
be fair, I owe Ian a lot. And I do some stuff still in England. I
Yeah.
send marketing out from here, you know, with Ian. Um, and Ian's obviously one of your coaches now, so we've all
Yeah.
come. You know,
Full
and Ian's
circle,
great.
yeah.
You
And Ian
know, we've
quit his
all
job. I mean, Ian was someone that, was
Ian's quit
working
his job.
16 years in an IT job. He quit his job. And, he's helping me now because, similar to you, clients that crush it, obviously you're helping, you're doing it in the US, but clients that crush it have new opportunities then to give back and serve and help other people that are coming up with them, as well as doing deals. There's multiple streams of income as well. And it's just living, but some people never want to do that. They're just happy to do deals and they carry on. But I can remember even the first like 3 or 4 months we were speaking, I remember clearly sitting over there in my Palace Cafe Royale. Now I just come here for a good coffee, but I remember I was sitting over there, and you remember saying, you wanted to one day get into the coaching, and it happens quicker
100%.
when you show up. That's the key thing, and I think if anyone can learn anything, it's showing up. I always say, like, if you want to get the Hollywood role, you need to show up for every audition. If you don't show up for your audition, it's never going to come. It will never
Yeah,
happen. And people are like waiting on the side. What do I do? What do I do? I say to people as well, in England, the UK, for the coaching, I say, join me. If you don't join me and you join someone else, that's a disservice. I think I would be doing a disservice because I know the content and what we're delivering is giving massive
yeah.
value. And you obviously, your product, obviously you've done the work, you've learned, you've taken massive action and done it. But what would you say to people sitting on the fence in terms of just diving in and sort of taking a leap in terms of getting into remote property sourcing, especially for the UK listeners? What would you say if you could say a few words to give them a kick up the arse if they join myself or whoever they join? What would you say to them in terms of if they're thinking, oh really, I've got to spend that amount of money to learn?
Yeah, well, it's funny when you say how much, an amount to learn, but again, it's all about mindset. If you're charging them 20 grand, 15 grand, 10 grand, whatever it is,
Yeah,
you can look at that as a lot of money, okay? Or you can look at that as an investment in yourself. And if you're going to go and make 10 grand in a month, well, you've already got your money back. And again, it's just the way that you look. It's
yeah,
only a
it's
lot of
huge.
money. It's only a lot of money, okay, when you don't do anything with it. That's when it's a lot of money. So
Yeah,
10K is a lot of money if I want to pay for something, not take any action, and not do anything with it. 10 grand's a lot of money. 1,000's a lot of money.
yeah,
20,000 is a lot of money. If you're not going to do anything with it, it's a lot of money. If you go and then convert that money into then 20 grand a month, are you bothered about 10 grand at that point? No. And anyone that's in the business, like a couple of your coaches that are doing well, if they're making 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year,
yeah.
would they have paid 30 grand for the coaching to know that they could make that? The answer would be yes, because they've done it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a good. I like
so
that
it's
analogy. I
prove
always,
it.
I
You know what I
always
mean?
say that. And
So
property and real estate as well is so broad. I mean, a lot of people go, there must be, if everyone's teaching it, there must be too much competition. It's like, well, there's some competition, yeah. It's not that, but in terms of I always say like the 10% pool. I say if you can be in a 10%, when you gobble up deals, when the 90% are too worried about, they're talking instead of acting. And mate, Gavin, you're a pure example, man, just taking massive action, learning. Obviously, you are naturally you're quite a confident guy as well, and you're good at sales. I think people need to develop the confidence, but still, they can show that you've started from nothing. You've had a vision. you're
absolutely.
wholesaling and sourcing deals in the US, and you're not meeting any of the sellers. You're purely taking the model and doing it, and then scaling up there, and you're doing coaching on the side as well. I mean, that's people would.
Yeah, and we're going. Like I said, I'm going into the UK. I'm working with someone in the UK to do deals there. So yeah, and it's just like
Wow.
we said, levels. But going back to the question of what would I say to people is that if you're going to really come on and take action, it'll work. It has to work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no formula out there with someone I'm yet to meet that can tell me they've done this step, this step, this step consistently, and it's not worked. There's always a reason why, and the common reason is not spoke to any sellers, not made any offers. You're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
And people say, well, I'm good on the phone. Can talk to people. Yeah. Find someone who is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Find someone who's good, partner with them, and keep each other accountable. It's like, oh, well, what if I tell my students, if you're going to get an investor's money to spend on marketing, you're going to get a business partner that's going to invest in you, well, you better perform.
Yeah.
You haven't got time now with all your excuses. Now it's time to perform because someone's relying on you, and sometimes that's what you need.
100%. And it's like, Gavin, it's like if we were employees in someone else's business and the way we treat our own business or getting into it, we'd be fired within 100%. A day.
100%. And that's a good one because I always use that. Would you hire yourself if it was your business?
Yeah.
On your performance, if you've only spoke to one person this week and someone paid you $1,000 a week to call 5 people a day, would you do it? If that was your job? Oh yeah, I would. Well, why are you not doing it in your own business then?
It's so true, man. I think a key thing what you said as well. Of course, you know the strategies, the marketing, you've developed that and the sales side, but it's the whole mindset. I've seen all the clients that have crushed it, that have made 6 figures, or just done amazing stuff, or have quit their job. I'd say one client, Jag, quit their job. It's amazing. They've all got the mindset. They're into Grant Cardone, or they're into Tony Robbins, or they're developing themselves. Or even if they're not into that, they're still positive and they go, look, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm going to get there. I mean, so for me, when I started, I was similar to yourself. Completely broke. And I just went, okay, great. I need to make this happen. I learned in the US, but I'd done it in the UK. I was like, well, if they're doing it, all these testimonials are doing it, I would have to be an idiot to think that I can't do it. All I've got to do is follow the model.
Absolutely.
And it worked. Yeah. And when it worked, I was like, okay, it's worked. So if I do this over and over and over again, and I think also people, I don't know what you think about this, they always think about millions. It's like you only need, like most directors in the UK make 50K a year. That's one deal a month.
Absolutely. And that's where you have to, have your short term, medium and long term. You can't aim for the multis. That's your long term, and everyone should have the long term plan. But it's right now, what are we going to do? And don't get me wrong, like, my wife played a huge part by saying, okay, I've got this for 6 months, and she was going to pay for marketing, and I decided that I could make it work other ways.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to put us in a financial. She earned enough and that was probably in someone saying, well, what if I haven't got that opportunity?
Yeah.
Well, you've got to work harder. You've got to go to your full-time job. You need to be doing your letters in the evening to go out, to be posted the next day. You need to be setting aside to do your text messages and time to do your calls, and you've got to work harder to make that happen. I was fortunate, that I could just say, I'm not doing that. And I gave myself a time limit and made it happen. And it happened pretty quick at that point.
Because you committed mentally. That's what you did.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing is, because when we spoke on the coaching calls and so on, I mean, you're always like, look, it's happening, it's tweaking, I've got this deal, but you always knew that a deal would come. Like you knew, obviously, but there was doubts and stuff. I remember even Marbella, it was when we sort of spoke and, with your wife as well, was interesting, is it, when you sort of said, look, it's going to work, and it was quite emotional at times, and obviously everyone hears the good things, but maybe to round it off, I mean, how you overcome the negative, obviously, because there were times maybe mentally we don't like to admit it, but were there times where you're thinking maybe this isn't going to work, or you didn't, or you had the emotions come up, you know, like negative emotions?
Absolutely. I mean, I had the self-belief that I knew it was going to work.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew that if someone else could do it, and I used to analyze people.
Yeah.
And think, and this was never in a cocky way, but I would analyze people and think, I can do better, or I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, if they're doing it,
if that guy with a man bun and that huge beard can do that.
Yeah, but it's true, you know. Like, he's got no power different to me, and that's the same as anyone that I teach now.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. We're no different. Joe McCall's no different to you. You know, we just take action, and maybe you're not, or you just need to give it time, and that's basically, you know, what I would say is that you've got to get. Because it is a roller coaster. I can't tell you how many deals I've had that fell through. I can't. I mean, and it is, but it's how you deal with that. I mean, I can remember my first 10K deal, and it was a home run, and it was like it was in, and like you can't help, and people know what I mean. Like, you start thinking 10K's in, and like, oh, I can do this, and that's going to pay this off, and it starts going in. It's not in yet, and then all of a sudden you get that call out the blue that something. It's just gone south, and it's just like, please no, you know, like, this was it. This was my chance, you know. This was the big one. This was going to be the life changer. And you've got to. I mean, my first one was, we had a contract. I remember it, again, learning. I got it under contract for 146,000, selling at 150 on the numbers should happen all day. But I had construction problems that we didn't know about. So we had someone go in and said he would pay 40. So I was like, that was the first hurdle. So I was like, okay, so I've got to get it lower. So I said, look, I need you to go in again. And this is a key point for anyone listening. Never move the number until you have the seller, till you have the buyer in place. Because you never want to go and move the number twice, because now you're going to upset the seller.
100%.
You know, so I said, right, if it's 40, go in again. Are you happy with 40? Because I know then if I need to come in lower, I've got to, you know, I know my spread that I need to make, right? And he said, okay, we'll do an inspection. At this point, I sent another buyer in. The buyer said, look, I wouldn't give you this house if you gave it. I wouldn't take this house if you gave it to me. Like, the construction, it's on like, it was wet around the edge. It was on like some, like the water table. It was like crazy. I mean, just in a mess. So I'm just like, this is just not going to work, you know. And then I sent my other guy who was interested. He went back in, took a contract, and he said, look, foundation shot, I'll only pay 20 grand. So now I'm like, 20 grand, like, this is never going to happen. Yeah. Right? So I went back to the seller and I just was honest. I said, look, you know, we've had big two construction companies said they wouldn't do anything. Got in one investor that'll take it. And I said, you know, we've had several people in. I said, the new offer is going to be 18 grand. So I thought, I'll try and make 2 grand. And he said, 18. I said, look, you don't have to accept it. I understand that you want to sell it. But if you don't accept it, I generally don't know what you're going to do with it. Because you're going to have this problem. You know, people have been in there and they've been saying the same things to you about they wouldn't take it. So he knew. You know, and then anyway, he said, okay, well, let's do it. So we went from 46 to 18 and made 2 grand. And that was in the second deal, right? I did. But then I'm thinking, I could have done 15 grand. Yeah. Why didn't I go lower? You know, because I just thought, he's never going to accept it.
Yeah, yeah.
Again,
it's
the
belief,
motivation
man. It's experience. It's experience.
Yes, experience. You know, but again, you could look at, okay, 10 grand, I've only now made, it was gone at one point and I made 2, but looking at it on the positive side, it was 2 grand.
But the thing is there, man, you had the bottle to go back and you just showed up. That's the whole fucking thing to this business is just showing up. But most people, I mean, if they just show up, and I think they will, I think from this interview, I think a lot of people will be inspired by it and they do it and they just show up. I mean, that is the key to success, really. I think in anything, if you're doing, anything in life, if you're doing e-commerce, or if you want to become top UFC fighter, you've got to show up to a gym every day, and you've got to show up to the octagon, and you've got to perform. It's exactly the same, man.
Yeah,
so,
and if there's one thing, that I would say for anyone that's struggling, you've got to know why. So you want to track your numbers on marketing, how many postcards are going out on a month, or yellow letters, how many offers you're making on a weekly basis, how many sellers you're talking to. And if you're tracking them numbers weekly over a month, over 2 months, you're going to see a pattern.
Yeah.
And the pattern is in the talking to sellers and making offers. And don't just wait for direct mail. Get on Gumtree and start making cold calls.
Yeah, that's it.
And making offers.
I always said...
All you do is make an offer. And if you deliver it in the right way, I just say, hey, I understand you're offering 120,000, but would you, if I can make a cash offer, would you be interested in a cash offer? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm only going to offer, what's going to work for us. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But hopefully if it does, we can do business today. And then I'll say 80 grand. And I've pitched that it's going to be lower. I've already told them it's going to be less than what they're asking because it's a cash deal, it's an investment. So I pitched them at 80 grand, and they might say, no, it's too low. Okay, no problem. Well, what I'll do, I'll give you a call in 30 days. Hopefully you sell it at 120, just to let you know that my offer still stands. So we'll talk in the 120 days, and I hope you tell me it's sold. Of course, 120, month goes past. Have you sold? No, we haven't. Have you had any interest? We've had one person, but it's too high. Well, and then I said, well, what are you going to do if it doesn't sell? Well, I'm going to give it 2 more weeks. If it doesn't sell, then we're going to have to do something. Okay, well, I'm going to give you a call in 2 weeks and we'll chat. And then that's how the follow-up works.
And that's a recipe.
No. And then all of a sudden, you've got the rapport with the seller. So I'm confident at that point. Another investor comes in and makes an offer. One, I'm going to be told what the offer was. And two, I'm ahead of the game because they've spoke to me 2 or 3 times. So why would they go with Tom Wade as a one-off call, or would they go with me after 3 calls?
And that's the recipe, man. That's the recipe to success. And I think because when you've sort of done loads of deals, people go, I don't know if you've had this, people around you, they go, you make it sound so simple. That's because when you do it, it is that simple. It's not, but at first our brain goes, but what about, and well, you've been there, I've been there, we go, what about that? What if they say this? What about that? And again, when you just dive in, and then it sort of just happens. But man, that's amazing. I mean, well done, man. I mean, just congratulations on everything you've done. And I'm sure definitely it's going to inspire people. So people also, in terms of obviously, there's that boosted my ego here, but in terms of people that go, oh, like Tom Wade with the man bun and beard, I mean, what would you sort of say? I've got a gun to his head right now, guys. I'm like, so good. No, I'm joking. But in terms of honesty from your own experience, what would you say to guys that are on the fence there, or maybe are thinking of taking a leap into, say, remote sourcing, that have heard about it, that think it's, I don't know about that, or someone said it didn't work, or, they saw someone did do it, but they need that little bit of just a kick up the arse in the UK. What would you say to them, fellas, or women?
Yeah, I would just say, if you're going to do it, you've already overthought it too much. If you're thinking about it, just do it, or don't think about it. You're already overthinking it. Just do it and see it as and always reason with yourself why. If it helps you, think, well, what if I go and get a degree, to be in business, what am I going to have to pay? I mean, in the UK, it's probably a little different, but in the US, I could be 40,000 out of pocket, 50,000 to go and do a business degree. So me investing 5 or 10 grand, well, yeah, it's a no-brainer, So, and then obviously for you and the product that you've got, I mean, you've got a great product, a successful product. Yeah. It's not just done from what I've got from it, but from what everyone else has done. Tons of testimonials of your success, and obviously, like I said, the bit where not only the content that you deliver is great, but the ability, the mindset, and the sales side, is what I got from you, what I needed. And everyone's going to be different. What do you need? Go out and get it. So I would say that anyone that's thinking about it, you've overthought it, just do it. And if you're going to apply yourself, it'll work. And if you're not going to apply yourself, you already know the answer.
No, I appreciate that. No, definitely, guys. I mean, for for everyone that is tuning in, just do it. Just do something. It doesn't matter, even if you do coaching or not. I mean, I think mentoring is the fastest way to success, especially because it's the right environment and you model, like Tony Robbins says, key to success is modeling what works and taking a recipe and doing it. But they go, just do something. Like you've seen Gavin here. I mean, literally, this isn't some pump up fake stuff. This is real. This is unscripted as well, isn't it, Gavin? This is pure. I'm in Cafe Royale. He's at home. I've got a piano on in the background.
yeah, definitely.
This is unscripted stuff, guys. This is raw stuff. Like this is real from the heart stuff. There's no fake shit here. It's real,
And if you've got good buyers, I've got like strong buyers in different states. Tell people, bring me your deals, and I'll move them. We'll partner. And then you've got to do nothing. All you got to do is get the deal, bring the guy in who wants to buy it, make half the money.
And that's pure remote. That's purely remote.
That's what you do. I've got a guy in St. Louis that says to me, I will take, and all I ask for is criteria do you have? What do you want? Where do you want it? He says, this, bring it me and I'll have everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I just tell anyone I meet in St. Louis, bring me what you've got. I then pass the criteria on, make sure it's in this, bring me the deal, I'll move it. And then boom, do the deal, just made 2.5, 5K, whatever it is. I've done nothing.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
It's having the connections, having the right people.
Of course it is. Go out and connect with people and say, I've got all these buyers that are my buyers. Go to a meetup where everyone's sourcing, trying to sell deals, and say, send me your deals, look through them, say, okay, well, that one works, that one could work, send them in, let them buy them, and split the deal. I mean, it is, and that's where you've got to get to. So you can do this business on talking to the sellers, but you could also provide buyers.
Sweet.
If you're not good at the sellers, go and get some buyers.
So true.
And then go and speak to the other guys saying, hey, I've got buyers, bring me a deal.
Always say it to the clients. And we've got a lot of the clients doing co-deal sourcing right now that are selling other people's deals or collabing together, or some people are buying deals. And because it can be a lonely business doing it by yourself. But last question, Gavin, I mean, where do you want to be in, say, financially? Where do you want to be in, say, 12 months' time? Let's just say we're speaking in 12 months' time. I'm Skyping you in 12 months. What do you want to be making in 12 months in that month? Like, realistically, what you've done up to now and what you think you could be doing, including, obviously, what you're doing with the accountability stuff in terms of the coaching side, but also including the deal side of your business as well. What do you want to be doing?
Yeah, I mean...
I know it's a broad question.
Goals really... And it went up a little, but my goal for this year was 200,000.
Yeah.
Realistically, it went up to probably 240 for this year. Could I over exceed it? Yes, and I hope to. But what will I? What is a good amount? And I set a goal for last year that I hit, that I went over. I like to make realistic goals.
So what was your goal last year? What was your goal last year, Gavin?
My goals again was to make 10K. I mean, that was my goal when I joined. My goal with, I don't know if you remember, was 10K a month. And then consistently did that. And then it's like, well, that's it. And now I need to get to 15 and 20, and then so I thought 20 with maybe not always 20, depending on what's going on, depending on how much I travel, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I want it to be over 200K this year, and then year 3. I mean, we're scaling at that point.
And that's a lean business with very, very little overheads. Well, of course, you've got marketing and so on, but it's not like big office. So where do you work? Do you work from home? Do you work from home right now, or is it wherever you want?
I've got an office at home. I work, if we go down, see my mother-in-law, we'll work 3 hours away, work from there, just been to Georgia for 3 weeks, work from there. I mean, it doesn't matter really. I mean, the business doesn't stop. Everything just ticks over. And
that's awesome.
And I do have an assistant as well. I don't know if I've said that, but yeah, I've got an assistant that works 20 hours a week for me, and which is good. And then it's, like I said, just having the ability to train the right people in what I want them to do. And when I find that, then we'll scale. And then it should be more. I mean, it's like I said, that's with little overheads at the minute. But if I started spending, 3, 4, 5K a month, I mean, it's just like my Florida guys, right? They're
Yeah,
spending 20,000, probably 20,000 a month on marketing, bringing in over 100,000
yeah,
in
yeah.
deals. So again, it's just a number at
It
this
is
point.
so true, so true. I've seen that, and it becomes just to sort of wrap it up. I think the guys, how exciting this is, because some people want to make their first, say 4 or 5 grand a month. Some people want to do 10. Obviously, some people are listening to business owners or want to have it like a cash cow that brings in, a lot of income. But at the end of the day, guys, is you can take it to wherever you want to take it. It depends on your own lifestyle, but you don't need to make 100 grand a month. You
Oh,
could be happy
absolutely
at
not.
5 grand a month, and you're killing it,
Yeah.
and you're
One
having a
deal a
great
month.
lifestyle. I mean, that's more than most people make in corporate jobs that take 15, 16 years or 20 years of slave labor in the system to get there. So, I mean, that's, guys, I mean, if you're on the fence, just do something, take action, and hopefully, if, from this call as well with Gavin, you just sort of just get on the phone. I mean, what I learned from you, I learned as well, Gavin, what you just said there is just getting on the phone, speaking to people, and when something doesn't work, adapting, tweaking, and then trying something else until it does work, right?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I tell our students that if you're not good on the phone, we have Craigslist, same as Gumtree. Go on, and they're like, well, I don't want to ruin anything in my area. I'm like, well, go and look at a Craigslist on the other side of the state. Just call them. You're never going to see them. Never going to talk to them again. And just start making offers. And if you get an offer accepted, then come to me and we'll figure it out. And if that means you getting on the phone and just practicing people, that's what you got to do, So there's so many things that you can get around. There is a solution to everything.
And I would say one last thing as well for people that are like, I think this is a blockage. People make problems. There's too much competition. There's very little competition out there. It seems like there's loads of competition because we're all focused on other property sources, other wholesalers, other people in property. But in the grand scheme of things, there's no one doing it in terms of properly doing it consistently. The 1 percentile of a success in it, and that's what I want to put out there, guys, because I know that stops a lot of people from ever taking the leap. So just take that action and do something.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to work with me, guys, just how to find me, apply, or just reach out to me, and we can rock and roll and really do some damage in life, and good damage, of course, and not vandalize.
Yeah.
We'll vandalize the area in a good way, meaning make a load of money, help a load of sellers, and do some good stuff. But any last words, Gavin?
Last words. I mean, yeah, just if you're going to do it, like I said, you're in or you're out. If you're in, then do it. And if you're out, you're out. I mean, you can't be a maybe. You can't come in maybe. You can't. It's not going to work. If you're coming in maybe, you're wasting your time. But if you're going to come in, it'll work. And they can only answer that. And with your help, the way that you guys are set up, then I mean, it's levels.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, man. I really appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Also, taking the time out to do it, and you're going to inspire a lot of people, man. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get great value from it. So, good stuff, man. And I'll catch you soon.